Arizona Cardinals and the Houston Texans. This is now up to 6 at a few different books out there in favor of the Texans over the Cardinals. 48 is the total in this one. Steven, we know Kyler Murray came back last week. Kyler Murray looked pretty damn good for considering he had not played in a year. Now he's got a game under his belt, another week of practice, another getting a little bit more familiar with the guys that are out there on the field. And we have a Houston Texans team that might be at the absolute market peak right now. I don't think we would have looked at down this schedule, even when we thought the Cardinals were going to be the absolute worst team in the NFL. I don't think we'd have looked at this game and ever thought we'd see a 6 in favor of the Texans in any game over the course of the NFL season. It's tempting for me to take the 6 on the Cardinals, not in the account right now. What say you?
As much as I hate to say it, it feels uncomfortable, but I think it would only be Cardinals at 6 for me. First of all, it seems our staff is in agreement with this bump up for the Texans market rating. All but one person on our staff has the Texans between 12 and 14 overall. Now, the Cardinals, I appear to be on an island here because everybody still had them between 26 and 30. I bumped them all the way up to 22nd with Kyler Murray back, basically on the logic that he is at least a functional quarterback who played a game in his return last week with more than 6 yards per play. And I just would rather have him than some of these other teams with nothings at quarterback, like the Titans and with Will Levis. And, you know, at the time I ranked this, the Rams with Brett Rippon. And that's not the case now, but the Packers with Jordan Love, you know, you get my point. Like Zach Wilson and the Jets. I at least think the Cardinals can move the ball. And then I went and looked at the consensus market ratings. So I was like, all right, how far up do I want to move them? But then the consensus market ratings actually still had the Texans lower than I thought they were too. So I think the correct answer is both of the teams had to be moved up from where they currently are to be where I would have them. And then you get, by doing that for this game, essentially not too far off from 6. You're basically in that 5.5 window if you do that, in my humble opinion. So I don't think there's a ton of value here. And I still think the Cardinals defense is hideous. So Stroud could absolutely go nuclear again in this game. I did bet Cardinals plus 4.5 earlier in the week when the first move was towards them, worried that it was going to move to 4. It stayed at 4 for a while before the big money came in back on the Texans. So I don't have a strong opinion in this game. I did bet Arizona 4.5. It would only be Arizona at 6 at this point, but I'm not going to push back on somebody who's going to go Texans on the other side.
Adam, I had not seen that this had gotten to 6 until recently. It was 5.5, sitting in that dead territory for a while. Now we're getting this money coming in here on the Texans. I understand the Cardinals are still bad, but this has to be the absolute peak of the Texans, right? I mean, like, could it possibly be higher from a market standpoint and a market sentiment than what we're getting right now? I mean, they are damn near touchdown favorites. I mean, the Houston Texans are friggin' 6-point favorites in a game.
At the same time, how hard can you argue it, right? I mean, that's the market is telling you this. This didn't open 6, right? This didn't open 6, and the books were like, yeah, we see it with Houston. The market looked at this thing at 4 and has bet it out to 6, even with a little bit of positive sentiment around Kyler Murray coming back for the Arizona Cardinals. So you have to respect that in and of itself. My rating, I make it Houston 4. That's not enough for me to come in on 6 with Arizona. I'm going to pass on this game, other than if this total gets any higher than where it is right now, I will be looking toward an under. 47.5 is at least going to be a thought on under for me, and that is not based on these two teams in specific. It is based on, this is 2023 in the NFL, and getting to a total like that is highly unlikely without two very functional offenses on the field. We know Houston's offense is that functional. We don't know for sure that Arizona's is. We have 1 week of Kyler Murray back and looking relatively good against an Atlanta defense that it's better than we thought it was going to be, right? Like the new additions have worked to the Atlanta defense, but it's not great. So I'm not willing to go back that hard on Arizona and, move their number that far up based on what they did against the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I will say, and this is, I know it's just a a 2-week wonder here, but it is of note. It does not look like Noah Brown is going to play for the Texans in this one. He has had 2 monster games in a row for this team. He's DNP'd all week, so it doesn't look like he's going to be able to go for them. So that is at least of note, I think, in this one just a tad.